You ever get that feeling that something bigger is trying to reach you? Like the air around you shifts, the room gets quiet, and for a second, it feels like time itself is waiting for you to listen. Not with your ears, with something deeper. You don't know why, but you can feel it. Like there's a message hovering in the silence, meant only for you. You've been running through life, chasing, escaping, pretending, and suddenly, everything stops. Because what's coming isn't just coincidence, it's command. You ever wonder why some words hit you harder than others? Like out of nowhere, something cuts through the noise and lands deep. Right in that place you try so hard to ignore. It's strange, isn't it? You've heard 1,000 voices before, but this one feels different. It doesn't ask for your attention. It owns it. Like the world pauses for a second, waiting to see what you'll do next. That's not coincidence. That's not luck. That's design. Some messages don't stumble into your life. They're sent with purpose. And whether you're ready or not, when they arrive, you know. You've felt it before. That eerie sense that something's guiding you, pushing you, rearranging your world in ways that don't make sense until later. The moments that feel random, but connect perfectly when you look back. The people who show up right when you're about to give up. The opportunities that vanish just before you realize they would have destroyed you. That's not chance. That's alignment. That's orchestration. But you keep calling it coincidence because the truth terrifies you. The idea that maybe there's something greater pulling the strings. Not to control you, but to correct you. You think you make all your own choices. But how many times have you found yourself exactly where you didn't plan to be? Hearing something you didn't expect. Feeling something you can't explain. You weren't pushed here by accident. You were pulled. Because sometimes the only way to get your attention is to break your pattern, to interrupt your plans, to crash your comfort. You call it disruption, but it's direction in disguise. The message isn't always convenient. It doesn't care about your schedule or your mood. It shows up when it's supposed to. Not when you're ready, but when you're needed. You know what's funny? You've probably ignored 100 smaller messages before this one. The signs, the gut feelings, the warnings. You brushed them off because they didn't fit your logic. You said, I'll deal with it later. But later never comes, does it? Because life doesn't wait for you to be comfortable before it delivers what you need to hear. When you keep ignoring the whispers, the universe raises its voice. And if you still don't listen, it brings the storm, not out of cruelty, but because sometimes pain is the only volume loud enough to break through your denial. You ever notice how timing works? How some things happen too perfectly to be planned? The right message, the right moment, the right kind of silence before it hits. You could have scrolled past it, walked away, turned it off. But you didn't. Something in you stopped. Something inside whispered listen. That's not random. That's resonance. You're hearing what you were meant to hear, exactly when you needed it most. You weren't supposed to find this yesterday, and you won't need to hear it tomorrow. This moment was carved out for you. Right here, right now. It's funny how you spend so much of your life asking for signs, for guidance, for answers. But when they come, you second guess them. You say, is this really meant for me? As if the entire universe sends signals just for fun. Maybe that hesitation is why you keep missing what's already in front of you. You want the message to come your way, but on your terms. You want clarity without chaos, confirmation without confrontation. But that's not how truth works. Truth doesn't knock politely. It barges in. It rips through your comfort zone and demands to be heard. You've been running from the noise in your head, but this is different. This isn't noise. This is a call, a direct line from the source, cutting through every distraction you've built to avoid yourself. It's saying, wake up. Not because you're lost, but because you've forgotten who you are, forgotten what you're capable of, forgotten that every obstacle that's been breaking you was also shaping you. This message, it's not here to soothe you, it's here to summon you. To remind you that your story isn't random, your pain isn't pointless, and your timing isn't wrong. The truth is, you've been chosen for this moment, whether you realize it or not. You could have been anywhere, doing anything, but somehow you're here, listening, watching, feeling something stir inside you. That's not ordinary. That's divine interruption. The kind that doesn't need your permission because it already knows it's meant for you. You don't have to understand it yet. You just have to feel it. Because messages like this don't come to entertain. They come to awaken. And maybe that's the part that unsettles you the most. The idea that this isn't just another message, another speech, another voice echoing into the void. Maybe this one has your name written on it. Maybe this one was waiting for the exact moment your defenses cracked, your distractions faded, and your soul was quiet enough to listen. Because sometimes, when everything around you feels uncertain, that's when the real message arrives, not as a suggestion, but as a command. Not a coincidence, but a calling. You ever notice how people say they want a sign, but when it comes, they pretend they don't see it? It's like they're begging for direction while keeping their eyes shut. You've done it too, haven't you? Asking, pleading, whispering to the dark, show me what I'm supposed to do. And when the answer finally appears, you hesitate, you question it, you push it away because it's not wrapped the way you wanted. You wanted comfort, but truth doesn't come in comfort. It comes in chaos, in silence, in those sharp moments that make your heart race. You call it fear. I call it clarity. The truth always feels terrifying before it feels freeing. You keep waiting for a voice to boom out of the sky, but it never does. Because it doesn't need to. The voice is already inside you. It's been whispering all along. Beneath the noise, beneath the doubt. But you've buried it under other people's opinions, their rules, their expectations. You traded your own intuition for their validation. You've been living a life written by someone else's hand, following scripts that were never meant for you. That's why nothing feels right. That's why every step feels forced. Because you're walking a path that doesn't belong to you. And deep down, you know it. The real message isn't found in miracles or magic. It's found in moments. The ones that feel too heavy to be coincidence. The ones that break you open just enough for the light to slip through. Every pain, every loss, every closed door. They weren't punishments. They were redirections. The world isn't cruel for no reason. It's strategic. Every time you were hurt, every time you were left behind, something was being rearranged in your favor. You thought you were being abandoned, but really, you were being positioned. You were being stripped of what was small to make room for what was real. You've been so busy trying to fit in that you forgot how to stand out. You tried to silence your uniqueness because it made others uncomfortable. You shrank yourself to be accepted by people who wouldn't recognize your worth, even if it hit them in the face. And now you wonder why you feel empty. You can't fill a life with pieces that don't belong to you. You can't become who you were meant to be while clinging to the version the world prefers. There's a difference between living and existing. And most people never notice which one they're doing until it's too late. Maybe that's why this message found you. Because deep down, you're tired of pretending. Tired of acting like everything's fine when it's not. You're tired of chasing approval from people who don't even approve of themselves. You've been measuring your worth with their broken rulers, trying to meet their standards while they have none. That's why you're exhausted. That's why no achievement ever feels enough. Because you're not living your truth. You're performing someone else's expectations. And the universe can't reward a mask. It only responds to authenticity. You want to know why everything feels heavy lately. Why every choice feels like a battle. Every day feels like a test. It's because you're on the edge of transformation. Growth doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like destruction. You're shedding versions of yourself that you've outgrown, and it hurts. But that pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. The old you can't survive where you're going. You can't carry all that baggage into a higher version of your life. You've got to release it, even if it means losing the people who can't go with you. Some losses are actually protection. Some endings are disguised beginnings. People talk about faith like it's a feeling. It's not. It's a choice. It's waking up every day and trusting something bigger than your fear, even when you can't see it. It's hearing that small voice inside say, "Keep going." When everything around you screams, "Give up." That's faith. Not perfection, not peace, but persistence. You've already survived things that were meant to destroy you. You've already proven that you can rise again and again. So why doubt now? The same strength that got you here is still alive in you. You just stopped listening to it because you started listening to them. You keep thinking your life will change when you get that opportunity, that money, that approval. But it won't. It changes when you change. When you finally stop waiting for a sign and start realizing you already are the sign. You are the message. You are the proof that miracles don't need to make sense to be real. Everything you've been through, everything that broke you, everything that confused you, it wasn't meaningless. It was training. It was shaping your voice, sharpening your will, setting you up for this very moment. Because when the message is meant for you, nothing can stop it from reaching you. Maybe that's why you're hearing this now. Because you were never supposed to find it earlier. Maybe all the pain, the doubt, the waiting, it all led you here, to this point, to this realization. You've been searching for a message from above, but it's been echoing within you all along. The call was never coming from the sky. It was coming from inside your soul, begging you to wake up, to rise, to remember. And when you finally do, when you finally listen, everything, and I mean everything, starts to shift. You ever notice how life doesn't scream when it wants to teach you something? It whispers, over and over again. Same situation, different faces. Same pain, different places. The pattern keeps looping, and you keep calling it bad luck. But it's not luck. It's a lesson that you keep skipping. See, life isn't cruel. It's patient. It'll sit there, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to change. And if you don't, it'll repeat itself. Again and again, until the pain gets loud enough for you to finally hear it. That's the thing about life. It doesn't stop testing you just because you're tired. It stops when you learn. You think you're moving forward, but you're not. You're running in circles, convincing yourself you're making progress. You change jobs, you change people, you change cities. And yet, the same emptiness keeps following you. You think you left it behind, but it's sitting right next to you, disguised as something new. Because you can't outrun what's inside you. The world keeps giving you the same script because you refuse to rewrite your role. You want a new chapter, but you keep reading the same page. You're trapped not because the world has locked you in, but because you've locked yourself in patterns that feel familiar. It's almost funny how humans crave change, but fear discomfort. You say you want to evolve, but the moment something feels uncomfortable, you retreat. You beg for growth, but when it starts to hurt, you call it unfair. Growth isn't gentle. It's messy. It's ugly. It's raw. It tears you apart so it can rebuild you stronger. And yet, you keep running back to your comfort zone. The same people, same habits, same excuses. Because they feel safe. You don't realize that safety is a lie. It's the trap that keeps you from becoming more. The truth is, you'd rather stay miserable in the familiar than be uncomfortable in the unknown. That's why the same lesson keeps showing up. Because you're too scared to pass it. You keep asking, why me? As if the universe has something against you. It doesn't. It's not punishing you. It's waking you up. Every rejection, every betrayal, every delay, they're not signs of failure. They're instructions. They're red flags pointing at something you refuse to see. You think you're unlucky, but really, you're being redirected. The problem is, you're so focused on what you lost that you miss what it's leading you to. You cry over closed doors without realizing they're protecting you from rooms that would have destroyed you. Life doesn't take things from you to hurt you. It removes what blocks you. But you won't understand that until you stop resisting and start listening. And let's talk about pain. Oh, pain is the favorite teacher. The one nobody wants, but everybody needs. Pain doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't sugarcoat. It tells you exactly where the wound is. But instead of facing it, you numb it. You distract yourself. You drown it in noise, music, scrolling, people, anything to avoid the silence. Because silence exposes the truth, doesn't it? It shows you the cracks you've been hiding under laughter. It forces you to confront the version of yourself you've been pretending doesn't exist. That's why it keeps coming back. Because you can't heal what you won't face. You've mistaken repetition for punishment when it's actually mercy. You keep getting the same lesson because you're still being given a chance to get it right. Every time life knocks you down, it's saying, try again, but this time do it differently. But you don't. You react the same way. Think the same thoughts, make the same choices, and expect a different outcome. That's insanity disguised as habit. You're not cursed. You're conditioned. Conditioned to cling to pain that feels familiar. Conditioned to confuse chaos with passion. Conditioned to think struggle is your destiny when it's just your pattern. Here's the truth you don't want to admit. You're addicted to your own suffering. You wear it like armor because it's predictable. You've built an identity around being broken, around being misunderstood, around being the victim. Because as long as you're the victim, you don't have to take responsibility. It's easier to say, life did this to me, than to admit, I keep choosing this. But the moment you realize that you're the common denominator in your pain, everything shifts. You can't change what you don't own. And once you own it, the loop starts to break. The lesson was never hidden. It's been in front of you the entire time. The conversations that hurt you, the people who triggered you, the failures that crushed you, they were mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself that still needed healing. But instead of seeing the mirror, you smashed it and blamed the reflection. You didn't want to see that the problem wasn't them. It was what they revealed in you. That's why it keeps happening. Because you keep destroying the messengers instead of decoding the message. You think the universe is cruel for making you relive the same story. But maybe it's not punishment. Maybe it's persistence. Maybe it believes in your potential more than you do. Maybe it's saying, you're not done yet. You haven't learned what this pain came to teach you. And when you finally stop running, when you stop complaining and start reflecting, something changes. The pattern breaks. The weight lifts. The silence starts to make sense. Because life doesn't repeat itself to hurt you. It repeats itself to heal you. It just needs you to listen before it has to shout again. Funny thing about patterns. They're not just habits. They're stories you tell yourself to stay the same. You keep saying, "That's just how I am," like it's a shield. But really, it's a chain. You keep repeating the same mistakes, chasing the same kind of people, falling into the same traps, and calling it fate. But it's not fate. It's a pattern, a loop of your own making. You say you want peace, yet you're addicted to the noise. You say you want truth, yet you cling to lies that make you feel safe. You say you want change, yet you keep choosing what hurts you because it's familiar. That's the trick of the mind. It confuses comfort with safety, even when comfort is killing you slowly. You want to know why you keep ending up in the same emotional corners, because you never ask why. You react, you rage, you complain, but you don't reflect. The same type of betrayal, the same disappointment, the same heartbreak, over and over again. And still you never stop to think, what is this showing me about myself? Because it's always about you. Always. Every person you meet, every situation you face is a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They don't care about your excuses, your pain, your past. They just reflect. And if you hate what you see, breaking the mirror won't change the reflection. You've got to face what's in it. You see, patterns are comfortable because they're predictable. Pain becomes a routine. You already know how it feels to be hurt. So it's less frightening than the unknown. That's why you go back to the same type of people who mistreat you. Not because you love them, but because they feel familiar. Familiar feels like home, even when home was toxic. That's how deep conditioning runs. You call it love, but it's not love. It's trauma dressed up as affection. You keep reliving the same emotional script, hoping this time the ending will change. But it won't, not until you do. You ever wonder why the same emotions come back in cycles? Why life keeps pushing the same buttons? Because you still react the same way. You still take things personally that were meant to teach you. You still fight the lesson instead of learning from it. You can't heal while defending your wound. You've got to stop explaining your pain and start understanding it. Every time something triggers you, that's the universe saying, this part of you still needs work. But instead of listening, you distract yourself, blame others, and pretend you're fine. But the universe doesn't care about your performance. It only cares about your progress. You keep praying for change, but you don't change your choices. You keep asking for peace, but you won't leave the chaos that destroys it. You keep wanting new life, but you won't let go of the version of yourself that fits the old one. That's the irony of it all. You want transformation without surrender. You want miracles without movement. You want answers without accountability. But that's not how growth works. Life doesn't bend until you do. And the moment you stop fighting what it's trying to show you, everything starts to shift. People love to say, time heals everything. No, it doesn't. Awareness does. Time just gives you space. What you do with that space decides whether you heal or repeat. Most people don't heal. They just distract themselves until it stops hurting, and then they call that healing. But the wound is still there, waiting for the right trigger to reopen it. That's why the same kind of pain keeps finding you. You never dealt with it. You just buried it. You built a life around avoiding what hurt you instead of confronting it. And the more you avoid it, the more power it gains. That's why the universe keeps bringing it back. You know what's even more ironic? You already know the pattern. You can feel it. You can see it coming, like a storm on the horizon. And yet you walk right into it again. Not because you don't know better, but because you hope this time it'll be different. You hope this time the person will change, the situation will work, the pain will be less. But it never is. Because patterns don't break with hope. They break with action. And that's the one thing most people avoid. Change that costs them comfort. But if you don't pay that price, you'll keep paying the price of repetition. You think the universe is cruel for putting you through the same test, but maybe it's not cruelty. Maybe it's mercy. Maybe it's trying to save you from yourself. Maybe it's saying, until you see what's really happening, I'll keep showing you. Because some lessons aren't learned through logic. They're learned through experience, through pain, through exhaustion. And when you finally get tired, not physically, but say spiritually tired, that's when the shift begins. That's when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? It's strange, isn't it? The very thing you think is holding you back might actually be the thing trying to wake you up. The repetition isn't random. The cycle isn't accidental. It's intentional. It's designed to expose the weakness, the wound, the lie you keep feeding yourself. You can't escape a pattern by blaming the pattern. You escape it by seeing the truth, the part you've been ignoring. Because awareness is the crack in the loop, the moment the game changes. And once you see it, truly see it, the pattern loses its power over you. The mirror stops showing pain and starts showing potential. And that's when life finally stops repeating itself. You ever realize how most people never actually grow? They just recycle. Different year, same behavior. Different faces, same drama. They talk about change like it's a dream. But when it comes time to act, they freeze. Because growth is terrifying. It's not pretty. It's not peaceful. It's violent. It breaks the illusions you built about who you are and what you deserve. That's why most people choose to stay stuck. It's safer to complain about life than to rebuild it. Safer to stay in pain that's familiar than to risk a peace that's unknown. But nothing changes until you get brutally honest with yourself. Until you stop pretending you're fine and admit you're not where you want to be. You keep saying, oh, one day things will be different. But one day never comes, does it? Because the version of you saying that isn't built for the life you want. You keep carrying old habits into new opportunities and wondering why nothing sticks. You keep asking for blessings that your mindset would destroy. Life won't give you more until you become more. That's the cruel little secret no one tells you. The universe doesn't reward wishes. It rewards alignment. You can pray all you want, but if your actions scream fear, you're going to get more situations that feed it. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And that's the part that stings. Realizing you've been your own obstacle. All the delays, the missed chances, the people who left. Maybe they didn't ruin your path. Maybe they revealed it. Maybe every loss was a warning you ignored. You want to evolve, but you don't want to lose anything in the process. You want transformation without the shedding, success without sacrifice. But that's not how it works. You can't build a new life while dragging the corpse of the old one. You can't become the person you're meant to be while clinging to the identity that's been killing you slowly.